I get ready with me to go to work while I tell you guys my story about a horror date I went on. So to get things kicking off, I basically met this kid in 2022 and the story happened in 2022. This guy that I met, I'll call him Jim for the story. I matched with him on Tinder, which was red flag number one. And Jim, from talking to him, he was cool. Like the first date I met him, he was pretty cool. I didn't get any bad vibes from him on that date. And then basically we would FaceTime each other and talk. And one day he was like, oh, like, let's fall asleep on FaceTime together. And I'm thinking to myself, like, normally I don't fall asleep on FaceTime with people unless, like, we are friends or whatever the case is. But I'm like, sure, why not? So I wake up at, like, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to this man, like, polar bear snoring. And I cannot stand when someone polar bear snores. And it's not, like, a mean thing, but it's, like, I just can't fall asleep. So I ended the phone call and went to sleep, as usual. So I wake up the next morning and I get a text from him. He's like, why did you end the phone call? And I'm like, oh, my phone died. But I just thought that was really weird that he kind of got a little irritated. So I just thought to myself that that's just so weird that someone would get pressed about a phone call ending because someone's phone died. But still, I just found it so weird. So the second date is when things start to kind of get a little bit crazier. We went to this like old town, and then I was like, oh, I want seafood boil. And he's like, okay, let's go get seafood boil. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go get food. So we go to the restaurant, everything's fine and dandy. However, he starts like flexing really hard about how much money he has. And I'm like, I really I don't care. Like, I don't care as long as you're paying for the food. And he starts dropping like subtle hints as to like, oh, we might have to like split the bill. Yeah, we might have to end up splitting the bill. And I'm just thinking to myself like, okay, that's fine, I guess, like whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you were just flexing hella hard about how much you have so much money in your bank account. So fast forward, the bill comes and the bill's like $74. Not bad, right? So the gagalicious part of this whole story is he then goes and is like, actually, can you pay for the meal? Like, I'll pay you back. He never paid me back. And my exact reaction, which I cannot hide, my reaction really well was, okay. So I end up paying for the meal. So then we leave the restaurant. He asks me if I'm okay. I tell him how I feel, really. And then he's like, oh, but like, yeah, I'll pay back, like, da-da-da. And he tries to make up this excuse. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Whatever happened. But still, you're lucky I got paid that day. So then we are driving. And I realize we're driving on the highway going north. I live south. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Where are we going? So I ask him, like, hey, where are you taking me? He's like, I have a surprise for you. And I've seen like way too many true crime documentaries, and also like I'm a true crime nut. So I'm like, where are we going? Because like my mom has my location, and also I don't trust you. And my mom has a pew pew, and I have a in my bag, and I'm not afraid to use it. So then I'm like, can you please turn the vehicle around and drive me back south? He's like, but like I have a surprise. And I'm like, dude, drive me back home. He then starts to kind of get very angry, and you could just tell his like whole demeanor starts to change. And I'm like, if it's a problem, drive me home now. Cause like I was really ready to take out that and use it on him, because I'm like, absolutely not. And then he's like, no, I'm sorry. And he starts talking to me in a baby voice and doing like the whole extra thing. And I'm like, whatever, like I just want this date to be over and done. So at this point, I am praying for a sign of God to basically like end this date as fast as he can, because I don't feel any comfortable being in a car with this man like ever. And thankfully he did. But you know, I worked this really horrible job that I used to work at, and my manager called me and was like, hey Alana, you work today, where are you? And I was like, oh, thank God you called me, because now I'm coming into work. So I have him drive me back home to my house. He tries to kiss me. I just gave him a hug. I didn't want to kiss him. I didn't want anything to do with him at that point. He then texts me and he goes, why didn't you kiss me? And I'm like, so then afterwards, I just had to think of like a way to basically just tell this man I don't want to see him ever again, which I used my mom to basically tell this man, hey, we can't see each other. So this whole lie was like this. Oh, like my mom is so strict. She doesn't want me to be in a relationship, and we can't see each other like again. She just doesn't like you, blah, blah, blah. Which the don't like you part is legit, because like my mom was like, I don't like him for what he did. That's so weird. And he was just like still trying to be like, oh, like let's sneak behind your mom and like let's still be together. And I'm like, no, like she's so strict. My mom's not strict. And like I'm like, she's so strict, and like yeah. Looking back at it, I should have told him, I don't want to see you again because you are a weirdo. So long story short, I ended up blocking him on everything. He found my Instagram when I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was like, oh, hey. And I'm like, I have a boyfriend, leave me alone. And then he is like, oh, well, like if things end with you and your boyfriend, like let me know. And I block him on there.
Y'all, yesterday I was at the store and I went to like purchase something. Right when I walk into the store, there's only one employee, and you know, I just ask him a question real quick and I walk around because he's like helping other people. And, shut up. So I walk around and I look like his direction, and things are getting heated with another customer that's in the store. You know, they're exchanging words, so I walk away completely. This is none of my business. All the customers leave, and the customer that was arguing leaves, and it's just the employee and me in the store. And you know, I was looking like in a completely different section. He comes up to me, he's like, sorry you had to see that. And I'm like, it's all right, like don't worry about me. You know, I'm noticing a little bit of flirtation, you know, and I was taken aback, I must admit, because, you know, I wasn't doing too much with the inventory. That's what I was doing. So he's still helping me, mind you. I'm not really asking for help, but he's still right there. And so I'm like, oh, how much is this? I'm like pointing at a product. I'm like, how much is this? And he's like, but this is what he says, yo. For you, 15. So I'm like, for me, this is literally what I said. For me, okay, I'll take 2. So I take 2. We go to the cash rep. You know, he's still making small talk. You know, he's still making small talk like, oh, what's your name? And then he pulls out like a box of stickers, and he gives me stickers. And then he's like, okay, have a good one. Hope to see you again. I'm like, okay, you know, I was really taken aback that day. I'm like, okay, chill, relax. I didn't, okay. So, you know, I got my little $15 product, little price reduction, and then I'm going home, like, and then when I get home, I'm curious. I'm like, I wonder how much, you know, got knocked off the price, the original price. I look up the item and it's $11. The item is actually $11. Yes. So the item was $11 and I did buy it for $15. Yes. I'm not new to the whole for you, you know, for you this will be $2. You know, this whole immigrant riz really does work apparently, because look at what happened. I got flustered and I got frustrated, and I knew that product was not $15. I knew that product was not $15, but it's just like I got flustered. You can't even get mad at him. He's a hustler. He's a worker. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. You might be thinking, oh, he's a 30, 40-year-old man with that whole for you line. But no, he was like a young man in his 20s. He was a young Hispanic man in his 20s. But, you know, he had an older spirit. He had an older aura. Okay. Well, goodbye.